Oh, so does that mean we have to change that?
Yes. It would mean that. And that
No,
doesn't,
that's the mission statement.
we're changing the vision statement. We didn't have a.
Oh, the
vision
vision's there, oh, yes,
Means we'll
right,
have to get
right,
one
right,
now.
right, right,
Had no
right.
vision before.
Right, we didn't have any.
But we can add one to it. All right, everybody ready?
I was ready.
Good evening. I'd like to call the Tuesday, August 21st, 2012, City of Oldsmar Council meeting to order. Our invocation, our pledge will be led by our city attorney, Mr. Tom Trask, and at this time I'd ask you to please join me in rising.
Heavenly Father, let us take a moment to thank God for all that we have been given and for bringing such a fine group of dedicated and enthusiastic citizens together today. I am proud to be among you. We ask for God's help to give our individual and collective gifts to our community, to regularly refurbish our intentions, to give ourselves in ways that make a difference to our families, to our city, to our nation, to a world grown so small it can be explored and conquered with the click of a mouse, to keep our wits during a time replete with distractions and political uncertainty, to maintain our focus with determination and with a sense of humor born of the knowledge that we are mortal men and women, and to fuel our work with vigor, stamina, and a hearty spirit. For all this, and for a few doses of good luck and grace, we give our thanks. This we pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Outdoing yourself, aren't you?
Change it up.
Good evening. I would like to welcome everybody here on this wet Tuesday evening. Thank you for being here. It's nice to see so many of you here today. I didn't think we'd have a big crowd because of the weather, but welcome, one and all. Our first item on the agenda is our Citizens Open Forum, and this allows anybody in the audience an opportunity to address the council if they so desire. We only have a few rules. One, please don't speak towards anything that's on tonight's agenda. Second, I respectfully ask you to keep your comments to no more than 5 minutes. And last, when you come up to the microphone, please state your name and address clearly for the record. And with that said, I see Mr. Walters is with us this evening. And Mr. Walters, would you like the honor?
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Jerry Walters, 1108 Robinwood Drive. I've only got a couple items that I wanted to bring up, and I figured it would be a good ones to do because of the rain that we're having outside. First of all, I heard this evening on the TV about the problem in Dallas with the mosquitoes, and whatever the item is that mosquitoes are, there's already been 11 deaths out there. And I don't know, I assume that we'll be getting the county to do our mosquito work at a sooner time because of some of these problems. I don't know that we'll have that problem, but it is a good idea. And I think is the, if I might, Mr. Alec, is the county doing that?
They've been doing that all along, Jerry. They're out there now.
No, well, yeah, but the point being, I just want to.
Well, the county does operate, the mosquito control program,
Right.
as you know.
And it is a continuous thing that they've been doing, because I haven't seen them out, but I assume that they're doing the main areas, and I don't know if they were doing in the housing areas where, of course, we have a lot of lakes around our area, so that might be a problem. But that's the only reason I'm bringing that up. It's just something that has occurred and it has become a big issue in at least Texas and about 7 other states, from what I understand. I'm going to bring this up at this time. I think it's an issue that I'm very surprised at. I shouldn't say surprised, but I'm very happy for. Councilman Beaverland presented us a book a couple of years back, and we went ahead and we had some more copies made. Well, if you want to get a copy, you better hurry up because we've only got 5 copies left, just so you know. And it's something that we didn't realize that was going to happen, but we're not sure what we want to do after they're all sold out. But it is something that we're very happy with. Also, I know this particular item I brought up a couple of weeks back, and it has to do with the Forest Lakes Plaza. I see that there really isn't anything going on over there. In fact, they've lost another business, Nico's over there, and I just wonder if they're going to be if they've been looked at by our inspectors, city inspectors, or is this something that is being held in abeyance?
We've had some conversations with both the owner and her local representative, and they have indicated that they are developing or working on a plan to revitalize the shopping center. However, we haven't seen any plans yet, and we've invited them to actually come to a council meeting, but they haven't agreed to do that yet.
Okay, I can understand that there are some problems over there, but it's just a matter of something hopefully being done, because it is really I hate to say eyesore, but that's basically what, if you go in there, that's what it looks like. I've also, one other issue, and then I'll go sit down. I see, and I'm going to put it this way because I think this is the best way to apply it, but many of the losers in the primaries still have signs up in Oldsmar, and I'm not sure. I know there's a 10-day setup on it with the city, but the idea of the signs still being there and knowing that they're not running again, something should be done to see that they do get removed. And that's basically what I wanted to bring up.
All right, thank you very much.
I'm going to go sit down.
Appreciate that, thank you.
May I ask a question to Tom?
You may.
About that development, that shopping center, how long do we have to wait before we do something and demand something? I mean, because it is a blight.
We don't have to wait.
Well, we've been. That's why I'm saying, how long do we have to wait?
Well, if there are code violations, you can cite them for the code violations now.
They got them right now.
Well, let's do it.
Have we had code enforcement go out there and inspect it?
We have. They haven't issued any violations yet.
Well, let's be
I
about
think
it.
they're about out of time.
Yeah, thank you.
Maybe it's time to start finding them.
Some of the violations is that their fire lane is gone, the rot is there, and their parking lot is not striped. And it's flooding every time it rains. The back portion of the drainage is, I think we had to go back there one time and open it up.
Well, they did indicate that they would meet with us, but they didn't want to do it in a public forum for confidentiality reasons, correct?
What
Because
confidentiality?
they didn't want to talk about what potential tenant they've got coming in.
If.
That's what they said. And they said it was not too far away from making the announcement, is my understanding, right? I was thinking maybe sometime in September.
Well, they kind of indicated that. I mean, if you want to take a couple of minutes, Marie could give you what the gist of her
I would like to know what's going
conversations
on
have
there.
been.
Could do that.
Let me hear half the night anyway.
I spoke with the developer or the owner's representative, and he said that he would like 90 days before he came before the council, because then, you know, some of the contracts or agreements will be firmed up by then. And I also mentioned that, you know, he had an engineer go and look at the building. I told him there was like complaints with regard to the way it looked and, you know, the fire lane and parking, et cetera. So
90 days from when?
2 weeks ago.
So you agreed to the 90 days?
Well, he said he didn't really want to come, you know, if he didn't have anything firm to, you know, talk about, he would know within 90 days.
We invited him to come to a meeting in August. And-
Right.
Well, actually, I think we offered August or September.
Yes,
Kind of.
yes.
And they've declined that. That was their response, you know, maybe in 90 days.
But the point
But they
is.
said they would meet with us, not in this forum. They did.
Yes.
They did indicate that.
But the point is that the buildings are deteriorating
I think
as we
they're-
speak.
I think they're at the point where they have not, we've kind of, I guess, offered the olive leaf, and we haven't gotten a very positive response, so
Well,
it's
let's
time
start
to
finding 'em. Let's start
utilize a
finding
different
'em.
tactic.
The Winn-Dixie's been vacant for almost 10 years, if not longer. You know, it's been 10 years.
Been a while.
It's been 10 years.
10 years.
Yeah, I mean, I guess on the good side, I'm glad that they're at least talking, because for the past couple of years, they wouldn't even talk, so it
They're
does
only,
sound like
they're
they're.
only talking to us because we put it to them this time.
Yeah.
So they're
Before,
gonna-
we never put it to them.
I wonder if they're even running the air conditioner in the vacant buildings that they have, where it's just mold growing on.
I'm thinking they're probably not.
I
Yeah,
would agree. So maybe it's time we put the hammer down as far as code
I
enforcement.
think we should.
I'm all for that.
Yeah, me too.
Thank you, Marie. Does anybody else want to address the council? Tony?
It says Craig and I, so you better come up. Okay. Tony Gross, 711 St. Leaf Avenue. Craig and I thank each of you for attending and generously supporting the fallen soldiers' remembrance ceremony held last Saturday at Oldsmar's Veterans Memorial Park, 250 Shore Drive East. Our gratitude to Oldsmar's Veterans Advisory Committee, Leisure Services, Oldsmar's Fire Department, Pinellas County Sheriff's Office, and the many other organizations that helped make the event a success in spite of the monsoon rain. Governor Scott stated twice that he would return when we conduct it again. Brigadier General Ralph Grover stated he would attend it, rain or shine. I appreciated Congressman Gus Bilirakis' and his aide, Mike Chimina's determination to stay for the entire abbreviated event, soaked as they were. After Mallory Gabardi read our sang our national anthem beautifully, and after our mayor spoke briefly, we had made a decision to end the ceremony. However, Scoutmaster John Ruckart of Oldsmar Troop 64 approached the podium and asked if we would read the names of the fallen. The PA system had been turned off due to lightning, and as a good scout who was always prepared, John had with him a bullhorn and offered it. As the Boy Scouts, the Patriot Guard Rider, Rolling Thunder, read the names of the fallen, one by one, I felt a strength and determination well up within each person there. Because of Scoutmaster John's effort, the ceremony continued. The ceremony was a success as the fallen were memorialized. The families of the fallen were honored. The 4 active duty soldiers from Fort Hood were shown respect, love, and gratitude. In spite of the abundance of liquid sunshine, the ceremony was completed. I have been asked when it will be rescheduled. With your support and approval, I am hoping to hold it in the fall of 2013. This time with a full tent accommodating 200 seats. Thank you again. I love and appreciate my community and its leaders. I did ask Scoutmaster John Ruckert to attend tonight's meeting, but he was unable to because they had some type of a special ceremony. Plus, he's a very humble person and did not want to be highlighted or recognized. So my thanks to all of you, and many of you stood out there in the rain. Thank you.
Tony, thank you. Thank you and Craig for all that you've done. I know you guys
Nice job.
really
Very
put your
nice.
hearts and soul into the event, and I think the event was a great success. So I want to applaud you both because on behalf of this council and the residents of the city of Oldsmar, I am proud to call you residents of the city and be
yes.
here in the community with us. I think the event was fantastic. The city manager a little while ago, we're talking about it, and even with the rain, I had a great time. It didn't bother me. The rain didn't bother me one bit, and I was proud to be there. I was honored that you asked me to speak, and I'll always be there for you guys. Know that. And just thank you guys from the bottom of our hearts. Thank you very much. Yes.
Congressman Bilirakis said, only in Oldsmar, he said, would everybody stand in the rain.
And there's not a lot of, to show you the character of Congressman Bilirakis, there's not a lot of congressmen that are going to stand there in the rain with
That's
no
for sure.
umbrella and stand there for the whole entire thing.
Absolutely.
Soaking wet, and that's what our congressman did. And that's a testament to him
Yes.
and a testament to you guys. And I applaud you for doing what you did because I think it was a fantastic event, rain or shine. So, unfortunately, There was a lot planned that didn't get done. I mean, they had 3 flyovers. There was going to be a missing man formation from MacDill. There was going to be the Coast Guard showing all of their stuff that they got in the air, and we were going to have paracommandos landing in the park, which was going to be pretty exciting. So unfortunately, that got canceled. But other than that, I thought it was a fantastic event. So thank you, guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Does anybody else want to address the council? Yes, sir.
Jerry Cuss, number 10, Bay Chamber of Commerce, 101 State Street West. I'd like to second everything you said here, and I just have to say, and with Gus Pilarakis, just he never even went under the 10. It's just unbelievable. And to have people in the city like Craig and Tony is just it's just a wonderful thing. I will tell you, I had an umbrella, and school board member Robin Weichel was standing with me, and with all that rain, when they did the final roll call, there was more rain under my umbrella with Robin, I'll tell you that. Yep. It was just phenomenal. The spirit was there, and as a 30-year veteran, I thank you very much. We've got a couple things gone, a lot due with the initiative of your city clerk, who came a couple months ago, and said, what are we going to do with the visitors we have coming to Oldsmar for the Republican National Convention? So he said, well, just give them an idea, a welcome bag. So we went out and got some things. Town and Country Hospital bought about 1,000 of these welcome bags. They're stuffed with all kinds of things from various businesses we have in the area. So they're being delivered to our 4 hotels now. They'll be given to everybody who checks into a hotel. Another thing that Ann suggested is she'd like to have a map of Oldsmar put in there, and we had one of our members who came up with the idea with a mini map that would be easy to do. So we have about 5,000 of these. So they'll last us well into the future. It really is an attractive piece. It has a map of all Oldsmar's amenities on one side, and we funded that through the sponsorship of people there. So they're all at the hotels now. So that'll be a good thing. Congressman Bilarakis at our legislative lunch, he asked me if he spoke about a group called the Concord Coalition that gives a budget planning exercise. And I asked Bruce if the city would go with us in doing that, and he said, yeah, but I didn't expect to do anything until January or something like that. Next thing I knew, he had me in contact with a fellow from Concord Coalition. He said, I want to do it during the RNC. So we're going to try to pull that off at the Courtyard by Marriott. I had this nice-looking piece of paper before it got rained on coming in. But anyhow, next Wednesday, August the 29th, at the Courtyard by Marriott, 10 to noon, we'll have something. And these flyers will all be given to the hotels also to try to attract at least some of the people who are coming here for the Republican National Convention. We have it on our website, putting the PSA out, open to the public. It'll be free. Seats will be limited. We can get about 80 people in there if we can. And the information that comes out of that will be used or will be given to Congressman Bilarakis' staff. He is one of the few congressmen that run this exercise to get input from his constituents on how the budget should be built from that perspective. So I would like if the city could help us advertise that and get some Oldsmar citizens there too. So.
Sure.
So that's all I have
good
to say.
stuff, yeah.
I will tell you that we did change the name to Federal Budget 101. From the previous, it's the economy stupid because Ann didn't think that would be a good sign.
That's just between us.
Mayor, I gave, we're friends with the people that own the Big Cat, and they're on the back of that. And I gave them a bunch of them Sunday, and they were so impressed, they didn't even know it.
Big
They
Cat.
were the Big Cat
Cat Rescue?
That's, yeah, the Big Cat Rescue. They're on the back of that.
All right. Does anybody else want to address the council? Seeing no one else, I'll close the citizens' open forum. Our first item on the council agenda tonight is our consent docket. We've got 5 items this evening. First item is to approve minutes of August 7, 2012 City Council meeting. Second is to approve payment to legal counsel. Third is approve purchase of shell and stone for trail construction from Pinellas County contract. The fourth is to approve purchase and installation of replacement playground equipment for Orioles Park from Manatee School District, Friendship Playground. And the last item is select firm for environmental monitoring services and authorize the city manager to negotiate contract. Does anybody wish to question, pull, or? Nope. Well, I'll take a motion.
So moved.
Second. Got a motion second. All in favor?
Yes.
Aye. Opposed? That motion carries 5-0. Thank you. Next up is the presentation of the Council Manager Award. And I do not see Senator Latvala here, right? So the senator indicated that he might be running late. And we'll just continue, and we'll come back if he comes in. And if not, we'll ask him to come back at the next meeting. So that brings us to consider moving Brent Gordon from alternate member to the full member of the Board of Adjustments. Brent, do you hear?
Yes, sir.
Welcome, sir.
Good afternoon, or good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members.
This is something the council started, I don't know now, 5 years ago or so. And the main reason was we were appointing people to boards and we didn't know who the people were. First of all, I want to thank you for wanting to serve on the board. It's an important board, and it's a very powerful board, as I found out recently.
Yeah.
A lot of cases more powerful than us.
It is. Yeah. What they say is pretty much law, you know. So I don't know if you have any questions for us or if council has any questions for Brent. But thank you for serving.
I remember him when he came up.
Thank you for the privilege of serving as an alternate member of this last year or so. It's been a great privilege, and I've really enjoyed it.
Excellent, excellent.
It's our privilege. Thank you. Thank you.
Motion to make Brent a full-time member. The second?
Second.
Got the motion second. All in favor?
Yes.
Aye. Opposed? Congratulations, Brent.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
You bet.
Time.
Next, we've got the presentation from the Mattie Williams Neighborhood Family Center. Janet.
Also give him a signal. I'm Janet Hooper, Executive Director of the Mattie Williams Neighborhood Family Center. As many of you know, we did change our name last year to honor Mattie Williams, who's a longtime volunteer at the center since it started in 1996. She just recently passed away a couple weeks ago, so it was a very sad time for us, but she left a great legacy. Anyway, I really wanted to come and speak to you tonight because there's been a lot of things happening in the services that we're providing in Oldsmar that I'm not sure that you are aware of. We have really grown tremendously in the services, especially for kids that we're offering today. So not to bore you very much, but I wanted to let you know that our mission is to nurture and strengthen children, youth, adults, families, and communities. And we do that through education and collaborative partnerships. But the most important thing is that we try to improve lives and help people achieve self-sufficiency. We're not a welfare program. We're not just there to, hold people up. We're trying to move them forward so that they can be more productive with a lot of different services that we do. And the biggest changes that we've had, especially that affect Oldsmar, is our Bright Ideas program. We have a program after school, every day after school in Safety Harbor. And then we have the program that we started here in Oldsmar, at Oldsmar Elementary. It started out as 2 days a week, and it was really geared for kids that were really, really struggling. There was such a huge change in those kids, and they made such great progress that we worked with David Schmidt at that point to go to 4 days. And that made a big difference. We did 2 days with the kids that were really struggling and two days with kids that were level 3 or closer or higher up in the FCAT scores. And those kids all had a huge change in terms of their success level. In fact, 80% of the kids that we served this past year with the after-school program in Oldsmar achieved honor roll. Now, and that's just by being there, paying attention, helping them with their homework, and teaching skills that they may not get in a classroom. They don't get that extra attention, and it's free. The school picks the kids. We don't pick the kids. In Safety Harbor, it's different. We don't do it that way. But here, we have the school actually pick the kids. Our instructor works with the parents and works with the teachers to make sure that we can really give them the skill development that they need. So that's a big change. And then, as you know, Mr. Schmidt is retired. And Mr. Feeney was the vice president, or vice principal, and he called me and already wants to. We're starting September 4th with another 4 days a week to serve those kids. So we have that program going on. Just so you know, we use the computer for some things, tune into reading. Certainly not to change actual reading a book, but to help them increase their skill level in reading because they're doing it in a fun way and they don't really know that they're learning something. The same thing with iPads. I don't know if you guys are aware, we have 20 iPads now, and there are 80,000 educational apps for kids. So we use the iPads to teach kids how to write, how to read. They have math bingo, and if any of our kids challenge you to math bingo, don't take them up on it. They're pretty good. I got caught on that one. But we use those as a teaching tool because these kids are really smart. They know, and the technology they're really up on.
Yes.
So anyway, we do that. This summer we couldn't use the Oldsmar Elementary School, so we had a mad science camp at Westminster Apartments. And just so you know, if you look on your screens, you'll see that you'll probably wonder why those two boys are holding eggs. What we did, there was a unit on amazing birds. And so the kids learned that you can't squeeze an egg. If there is not a break or any imperfection, you can't squeeze it and break it that way. You have to hit it on a point to break it. So these kids were learning things about eggs, and we put goggles on them just in case. We didn't want any problems. And then the next picture you'll see is volcanoes. They did a program on extreme jobs, and one was, and I'm going to mess this up, a volcanologist, and they did chemical reactions. And so the kids did, and that's made with salto, vinegar, baking soda, and dish soap, and they learned how to make a volcano. So that's just some of the different things that they did. They did a lot of experiments. They used some educational material from People's Education that the kids read. That gave them all the background, and so they had to read too. So they had a great time. Then we have adult programs. Most of our adult programs, of course, are located in Safety Harbor. We have a job club once a week to provide support services for people who are looking for jobs, resume writing, how to do interviews. We offer free internet access during the day. And then we also have our computer technology lab where we teach Microsoft Office programs so that people can improve their skills so they can be more employable. We also do financial assistance for utility bills because, as you know, if there are children in the home and the electricity or water get turned off, the kids are taken into DCF. And not only a huge cost to the taxpayer, but when you separate the family, the chances of the children winding up in court or in jail later in life is much higher. So we provided, this past year, we had $3,000 from Oldsmar to help residents. We've already exceeded that. So part of my request is increase that to $4,000 for this next year because there's so much need right now. The access site, we help people sign up for food stamps. We have our personal hygiene products, because if you're on food stamps, you can't get hygiene products with food stamp money. So deodorant, shampoo, we give that out. We give out diapers to people. We have clothing closet where we give out clothing that's free. And of course we have our food pantry, which is now up to 100 people a week. We've served, we've already created about 13,000 boxes of food. Of that, in the proposal that you all have, you'll see the Oldsmar numbers of how many people. And Oldsmar Cares obviously serves a lot of people, but neither one of us can provide enough food for people. It's not like we can really meet the need. We also do a free tax service. This last year we did over 100. We saved people, I think, over $50,000 in tax dollars that came back to them with tax credits. And that's all IRS supported. They train the people that do the taxes, and it's free to the people. This is our food pantry, clothing closet. We have started a new program in Safety Harbor, which we hope will be able to expand if needed to Oldsmar, and that's a Backpack Buddies program. I know that Oldsmar, I don't know what the Oldsmar numbers are right now, but the Safety Harbor Elementary School has gone from 25% free or reduced lunch to over 50%. So the school and the Sheriff's Department selected 30 families that they knew where the kids were in need, and we provide a backpack filled with food for the weekends. We'll work with Oldsmar Elementary to see if that's a need as well. Started it last year because the need was there. We didn't necessarily have budgeted funding, but you pray sometimes that you get the funds to be able to do what's right to help the kids. So we'll work with Oldsmar Elementary to see if we need to do something along those lines, and the Sheriff's Department. Our back to school, we just did, we just distributed all the backpacks. We did about 800 this year. Last year we did about 920. We had over 50, 60 volunteers help stuff all the backpacks. They came, we not only gave them to the people that signed up, of which there were a number from Oldsmar, but we also delivered them to the schools. So if there was any child that showed up without a backpack, he would have a backpack filled with school supplies. So that just happened. And of course it rained. This is the third year in a row it's rained on us to give those out. So the kids got them in the dry part. I was the one outside when we gave them food that got soaked again for the third time. As you know, at Christmas, we do Adopt a Child, Adopt a Family. Mayor Roniker has always gone to up to the North Pole the last couple of years with the Mayor Steingold, and we have the Mayor's Breakfast, and we also then provide about 720 this past year. We provided Christmas presents to. Nielsen, I just want to tell you, we can't thank Nielsen enough. Not only did they help with back to school, not only did they help at Christmas time, but they sent groups out to all of the 3 sites where we had summer camps, and their staff did a day of caring and really worked with the kids. It's an absolutely fabulous company. I can't thank them enough for all that they've done and how much they care about the kids in the community. So I think that's pretty special. So all I can say is thank you in the past for all your support. It can't be done just with the money we get from Juvenile Welfare Board, and so we really appreciate the fact that Oldsmar has been supportive, that Safety Harbor has been supportive, and in the last couple of years we've gotten money from Clearwater as well to be able to specifically direct programs and services right to the residents. So thank you. Does anybody have any questions? Oh, wait a minute, one more thing. I did not forget, Vice Mayor. At the budget meeting, the Vice Mayor asked me how many people were in the unincorporated part, because JWB makes us, we're the area, our service area is designed by zip code, and I realize there are a part of that have that zip code but aren't really part of the city of Oldsmar. And so Ann has, I can't, because of confidentiality, give you the exact addresses, but today I map quested every single address of Oldsmar residents, and you can see that there's probably about 10 households that are in the unincorporated part. Just so you have an answer to your question, sir. And the data sheet is coming so that you have it.
I have I know the help to the elementary school goes back a few years. That's when I think the county gave that up, and David and the past principal of Forest Lakes came to us, and I think they cooperated with you, did they not?
Right.
Because helping the kids to me is very important. I know, Mayor, if you'll bear with me, you've heard this before. In fact, you asked me to say it one time at one of your mayor's breakfasts. When I was 12 years old, my daddy died. And we ended up from Idaho to Florida. And my brother and I and my mother. And for the first 3 years, we didn't have a Christmas. That first year, I went out and cut down a branch of a pine tree and cut it into the
Christmas
shape of a Christmas tree. Mm-hmm. And my brother and I had 25 cents, and we walked from Largo to Clearwater. And we bought our mom a knife, a fork and spoon. Helping the kids is extremely important to me, extremely. And have her, in fact, I would like to have a report maybe every 6 months of how you're helping the Oldsmar Elementary School when you go there 4 days a week. Because I've been there. So I'm always supportive of this
I have to say,
city helping kids.
I have to say that I have seen your operation. It is absolutely wonderful.
Thank you.
I mean, I've been there several times. And to tell you the truth, you guys are just head and shoulders above a lot.
Well, we're very passionate about what we do.
Well, not only that, you teach them things. You know that old saying, don't give them fish, give them a fishing pole and teach them how to fish. That's what they do. Yep. That's what they do. It's a wonderful organization.
Thank you.
You know I'm a big supporter, so you've always got my support. Anytime I can help out.
So mark down November 10th for the Wreath Toys and Joys event. Yes.
There.
He was a great auctioneer last year.
And you were at the budget hearing, so
yes.
the money is in the budget, and I'm confident that the council will allot that amount of money that you're asking.
We're very appreciative. Thank you so much. And yes, I'll be back in 6 months to give you an update.
Thank you for I don't know if the other council members want to comment.
I think what you do is great. Kids, it's an unfortunate situation that, so many parents are single parents are working and, taking on 2 jobs, 3 jobs, and the kids just are the ones that pay the price for it. And it's great that you guys do what you do for them.
Thank you.
I'd like to echo what everybody said, and your report is just amazing. And just for everybody that doesn't have this report at hand, anywhere from up to 30% of what they do is for Oldsmar citizens and Oldsmar kids and Oldsmar families. And these are incredible. In a 4-year time span, adult classes went up 630%, the amount of people that you help, and 800% for all of the places that you do service and the children. I mean, this is just amazing. And I'm sure that the increase is a twofold thing, the economy, but also for your outreach. I'm sure that has a lot to do with how many people that you help, because a lot of families that are in need don't really know that they can get this kind of help. So I'm sure that you're out there letting everybody know that they can come to you. So this is just a blessing. You're a blessing to all the cities that you serve.
Well, for a long time we tried to find a site out here, but it was better to spend the money to send the programs out here and do it here than to spend a lot of money to try and find some building and then hope that people come.
Right.
We took it right into the schools, and that seemed to work the best. So we're very appreciative of the relationship we have with the school system. So.
I also want to express our sorrows for the passing of Mattie Williams.
Thank you.
Sad.
I appreciate that.
I want to express our condolences there. But I think we're done. Thank you, Janet.
Thank you very much.
We'll see you soon.
Okay.
Take care. Keep up the good work.
What's on 1110, Mayor? An auction?
Yeah, she'll get you details and stuff on it.
Oh, okay.
That's how we raise money that helps provide
Country Club?
Yeah, Countryside Country.
No, it's actually going to be at the newly renovated City Harbor Museum.
Oh, at the museum. Okay. Very good.
So we decided to make that the big social event.
We'll be there. All right, City Attorney.
Mr. Mayor, council members, item number 9, second reading and public hearing of ordinance 2012-10. Ordinance 2012-10, an ordinance of the City of Oldsmar setting the election date of March 12, 2013, and the candidate qualifying period for the March 12, 2013 election, and providing for the effective date. That was reading of ordinance 2012-10 by title only.
Okay, I need a motion for ordinance 2012-10.
So moved.
Have a second.
Second.
Got a motion second. This is a public hearing. Does anyone from the public wish to address the council on this ordinance? Seeing no one, I'll close the public hearing. Anyone on council? Call the roll, please.
Vice Mayor Beaverland?
Yes.
Councilmember Miller?
Aye.
Councilmember Davis?
Aye.
Councilmember Norris?
Yes.
Mayor Roniker?
Aye.
Second reading of ordinance 2012-10, establishing the March 12, 2013 election date and qualifying period is passed with 5 votes for and 0 against.
Thank you very much. Anything else, Mr. Attorney?
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The next item is To authorize the city manager to renew the traffic signal agreement with Pinellas County. This is an amendment extending the existing agreement for a one-year term to now expire on September 30th of 2013. That's the only change in the agreement. The cost is $28,000 a year, and that covers the signals that we still own and operate, and those are on Forest Lakes Boulevard, the signal at Commerce and Douglas, and the signals at the schools. I think I know the council's aware that a couple of years ago, all the signals on the state roads were transferred to the county, and they are now responsible for operating and maintaining all of those signals on the state roads. But tonight, I do recommend approval of this amendment to extend the agreement for 1 year with Pinellas County.
All right, any questions? Nope. Now I'll take a motion to authorize the city manager to renew the traffic signal agreement with Pinellas County. A second?
Second.
Got a motion second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor and council, item 11, consider approval of a 1-year extension of the EMS agreement with Pinellas County. This is for our first responder services with Pinellas County, and it's for the upcoming fiscal year starting on October 1. We will receive funding just over $400,000 for the upcoming year. That's a slight increase from the current year, which was $384,000. So other than that change in the amount of funding and the date, which extends this for 1 year also until September 30th of 2013, the other terms of the agreement remain the same. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to respond to those. I recommend approval of this 1-year extension for EMS services.
Okay, thank you. I think it's nice that we're getting a 4.89% increase. It helps a little bit, so I think that's good.
Better to go up than down.
Yeah.
A positive direction,
Absolutely.
yes, sir.
Anybody have any questions? That'll take a motion to approve the agreement.
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
Thank you. Mayor and council, item 12, consider approval of renewals for employee health, dental, and life insurance for the upcoming FY 12 and 13. We had some discussion of this at the budget work session a couple of weeks ago. There are some changes to the benefits, but I think we still will be offering, a very significant and beneficial plan on all these categories, including health, dental, and life insurance. We would continue to utilize the Florida Municipal Insurance Trust, and the services are actually provided through United Healthcare as the provider. The increase in premium is 12.47%. That's been incorporated into the proposed budget for next year. No change in dental, and there is an increase also in life insurance, although for the total cost, that's a relatively minor amount. If you have any questions or comments, I'd be happy to respond to those. Tonight I am recommending that you approve renewal for employee health, dental, and life insurance. The health is, as I said, it's all through the Florida League of Cities. The providers for health are United Healthcare. For dental and life is the standard. Same as our current providers.
Okay. Anybody have any questions?
You may address this, Bruce. At the workshop, did we decide that we're going to bid this next year? Is that what that was? I didn't know. I was reading.
Pretty sure that I will recommend that we seek competitive proposals next year, yes.
Okay. No further questions.
And then the person that we used for that, they actually told us that it was probably better to just take this rather than shop it, correct?
And yeah, there's a representative from the Gehring Group here tonight also, if you wanted to ask them any questions, but.
I don't know if that's necessary. Does anybody have any questions?
You are correct.
now.
Yes.
I think we're good. I think we're fine. We talked about it at the budget, so I need a motion to approve the renewal for the employee health, dental, and life insurance. Do I have a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. No offense, we just, we don't have any questions for you.
Well, any questions we have or anything he has to say is not going to change a thing now anyway.
No, right, that's why I said not now, next year maybe.
Get ready for next year.
Thank you. Item 13, discuss resolution opposing Amendment 4. In the packet, we included a copy of a resolution from the City of Seminole opposing Amendment 4, which has been placed on the ballot by the legislature, and it will be voted upon by the voters in November. And the provisions are related to property taxes. The primary provisions include reducing the limitation on non-homestead property is the amount of increase from annually from 10% to 5%. It provides a new benefit for first-time home buyers, and also would allow the legislature to modify or repeal the recapture rule on existing homestead property. The Florida Revenue Estimating Conference estimates that for 15 and 16, which I guess if it's passed, that's when it would go into effect, will be $607 million. And I guess that's the statewide estimate. But anyway, I don't have a recommendation. I just wanted to share this information with you from the city of Seminole.
Yeah, it's actually $607 million and then $430 million of the non-homestead assessment. So it's almost $1 billion in lost revenue for the cities and the county. But I don't think us passing a resolution is going to do one thing, so.
It's not going to do, it's not going to do a thing.
No.
If we want to do anything, we need
No,
to
but let's-
educate our residents here in this
Yes.
city. What they need to do. Resolutions sent to Tallahassee, you might as well just throw them in the
Well,
garbage
let's
can.
do it
Just-
anyway. I mean, you know, and then but it is our job to educate our citizens.
That's what our job.
Funny,
is,
we tried to do this a
educate
few years
citizens.
back with Amendment 4 again. It was a different amendment for
different
the
subject.
Yeah, it was Amendment 4 then, too.
Yeah, this is going to be tough.
Oh, this is going to pass by a landslide of the voters. We're just wasting our time.
Oh, please, don't say that.
This will
I mean,
pass by 60%
when they
easily.
realize that they won't be getting services that they're used to, big time.
Yeah, but I don't see this not
Maybe-
passing.
Yeah, but the whole thing is educating the citizens about it so that they
I
can
just said.
do the voice,
Yeah.
have the voice.
Yeah, that's what I
Even
just
if
said.
every one of our resident voters voted against this, it's still going to pass by a landslide.
Well, we've got to talk it up to the, you know what, we got a perfect opportunity this weekend.
They are going to pay a bit of
Yeah.
attention to it.
No, but I'll take a motion. I'm not going to vote for the resolution. I don't think it does any good, but
Well, I think we should do it.
One, this is Seminoles.
please. Oh, you don't, yeah, we're just discussing this anyway.
Oh, we're not voting.
No. We don't
Okay.
even have a resolution. We're just
Okay.
looking at Seminole's resolution.
Yeah.
Mayor,
Oh, yeah.
what would you say their motivation is other than just to be able to say they lowered taxes?
That's primarily it.
That's it. But they're going to raise taxes on business.
Actually, for somebody like me, in my
New
commercial
businesses.
business, I would probably save money.
But new businesses.
New businesses will hurt.
Creating new
Yeah.
businesses is going to be harder. But they get to look like the good guys because they're lowering taxes.
Well, a lot of the legislature does not understand how cities and counties actually function.
That's a shock.
And that's a big part of the problem right now in the state of Florida,
Right.
is they really don't understand the economics of the way a city works.
Exactly.
And it's kind of a shame that they get up there and not know these fundamental things.
I know it. It just drives me crazy.
They need to
when
go to
they-
like a citizens academy or something like that.
Or you have somebody like,
at the very least.
have somebody like, and I don't mind saying this, in fact, I say it with pride, and you have somebody like Peter Nair, that, well, I don't care.
But he was in city, wouldn't
He
you
was
think?
on a city, and he still doesn't understand it.
I know it. No, that's not true.
Yeah, it
He understands it.
No, he
He
doesn't.
just doesn't care.
Want to bring back a resolution? I probably would vote against it, but, I'm not going to stop anybody from wanting to bring a resolution to the council.
Well,
I'm not for it.
I'm thinking that Seminole is asking us to do this. Is it going to hurt us to do it? I mean,
Not going to do anything.
we did that
But it's
thing.
not going to hurt us to do it.
Time.
I agree.
It's not going to hurt us to do
Well,
it.
how many?
It's not going to do any good, but it's going to at least
You know-
show where we stand.
Well, not only that, we're partners with
Let's just make up our
Seminole
mind
and
whether
all
we're
the
gonna do
other
it or not and
23
go on.
cities.
So far, I hear 2-4. I'm an against, so
I'm on. I don't really care. I don't know that there's ever been a resolution that we've sent anywhere that's done anything for
but
anybody.
that's not the point. The
I understand.
point
You
is
still gotta- you still-
the
you can't-
camaraderie with the
And
other
we're-
cities.
And we're
just-
standing up for what we believe in.
You can't just roll over.
No.
You
Right.
gotta-
No, I
Fine,
think
draft
we
it
should.
All right, draft the
Wrapped
resolution.
it up.
We'll just draft it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Time something to do.
Since you only had one item this afternoon.
Yeah.
Thrown out, but at least they know and the other cities know that we tried to help.
Okay, we're ready to move on
We are.
to the next item. Item 14 is the presentation of the Firefighter Pension Valuation Report. And the council will probably recall that last year, the actuary, Chuck Carr, came and presented the report last fall. And I didn't really think it was necessary to invite Mr. Carr back. So I'm just going to go through the report this evening and kind of share with you what I look for and what I try to get out of this report or reports like this. Just give you a little more background about it. The report is done at the request of the Firefighters Pension Board. It's not something that I asked to have prepared. It's something that the Pension Board does. And this one is the most recent. It's as of October 1, 2011. Another thing to keep in mind when going through and looking at the report is this is a point in time. This is the status of things on October 1, 2011. So I don't ever read too much into one individual report, particularly, as you know, a pension program is 25 years. So what it says on one particular point in time doesn't necessarily provide an answer. You can get some information from it. You can look at trends, and there's some information in here that covers 5 or 10 year periods, or sometimes even longer than that. So I guess I would just caution you that you wouldn't say, well, here's the answer, because that was the answer on October 1st, but it's not necessarily the same situation today or 5 years down the road or even next year. Also, a couple of things have changed regarding the pension plan since October 1 of 2011. Under the current contract with the IAFF, the employee contribution went from 2 to 5%. That's not reflected in here because that just went into effect in June. Also, the multiplier changed from 3 1/4 to 3 1/8, and there again, that happened since this report was done. So I think tonight there's nothing to vote on. This is really just an information piece. I think it's important that we stay up to date and current with the firefighters' pension plan. The city spends in excess of $250,000 a year funding the plan, so that's one reason that it's important, and of course it's very significant to the firefighters as employees. So if you want to ask questions as I'm going along, just jump in and slow me down or stop me. In the front is an updated agreement, and I'm going to kind of skip through that, and then we'll actually get into the report from October 1st. The plan has been in effect for 16 years. It was created on January 1, 1996, and it covers all full-time firefighters. Some of the primary major provisions of the plan: the average final compensation is calculated on the 5 best years of the last 10 years of service. And the normal retirement is age 55 and 10 years of service, or earlier attainment of 25 years of service. So that second provision, as an example, if someone started when they were 25 years old, they work 25 years, they can retire at 50, and that would be their normal retirement date. So I'm moving along. I'm on page 4 of this introductory section, and up at the top of page 4 is the normal retirement benefit, and as I said, this is a current status, and the multiplier, as indicated here, changed from 3 1/4 to 3 1/8 on June 1st of this year. The employee contributions are now at 5%. That also was effective on June 1st. Another provision is there is a cost of living adjustment provided in the plan, and that's 3% each year after someone has retired. There is also a supplemental retirement benefit. The amount of that is $3 per year of service per month, so there's a maximum of $90 per month. So that was kind of, an introduction and summary also. The actual valuation report and the introduction, another thing that I know you're aware of, but sometimes it seems like, going through one of these might be described as tedious. There's some other words you could probably use to describe it. But in addition to the information that can be gained, this report determines the contribution under Florida statute. So even though you You may not like the results, you might disagree with something. This report determines, how much money the city is required to contribute in subsequent years or years. The required contribution, as you'll see at the bottom of page 1, is 38.16% of payroll. That was a very small increase of 0.62% from the prior year. Actually, the rate, the prior year, of course, being 10, the rate increased 0.9% due to investment losses and decreased by 0.5% due to a plan amendment. And that plan amendment that occurred in 2011 was an increase in the employee contribution from 1.5% to 2%. On the top of page 2, that sentence up there at the top, I highlighted that. It says the market value of assets earned only 0.37% during the 10-11 plan year, whereas a 7.5% annual investment return was required to maintain a stable contribution rate. So I'm going to talk a little bit more on one of these tables, about that rate of return and the 7.5% and what it's actually been over the past few years. But I think it's pretty obvious that 10-11 was not a good year in terms of earnings for the plan. And I've mentioned, the change in the employee contributions that occurred. So if you move on, in the first table, up at the top of the page, it says funding results. This is table 1A, and how they calculate the contribution rate. And I'm not going to run through the math, but what they developed was a normal cost rate is 36% of payroll, and then there's some adjustments to that. So you wind up with a minimum required contribution rate of 38.16% of payroll. On the next table, which is table 1B, the sensitivity analysis, which is kind of interesting. If you look at that middle line, which is the current normal cost rate, and that's, where things were on October 1, and you have that's the 36.7% if you look at that graph. And what they're trying to show us here is that if the assets earned only 2% less annually, the contribution rate would jump to almost 70%. And if they earned 2% more, it would drop to under 20%. So you can see, even though maybe that's not a big spread, they're talking 2% in either direction, it results in the contribution spread from below 20% to almost 70. So you can see the importance, of the earnings on the plan.
Is that based on the assumed 7.5%, or is that based, what is that middle line?
That's where we are now.
October of 2010?
No, 11.
11, okay.
Yeah. And where they calculated, on the previous page, I referred to the normal cost rate, 36. So if you look at the graph, that's where this center is where it is. That's the 36.7%.
And who picks the investments? Is it the Firefighters Pension Board, or is
Yes.
that? Okay.
Yeah,
that's not Mr. Carr's
responsibility is
Okay.
overseeing that.
I got you.
So, I'm
Really,
sorry.
we need to get better returns on the investment, and this thing goes way down.
Yeah, it's a difference of over 7%, and this graph only shows a difference of 2%. So, am I looking at this wrong,
Well,
or is
there-
that, are you just in a
There you are, but there
snapshot?
again, that was 1 year. And
Okay.
when we get to one of these other tables,
And
there's
it's
going to have
more-
some more history, and I'll talk about that a little bit more.
Okay.
So there again, it's like, okay, so the
They shock you with
FY
that
10 and
number.
11 was not a good year, but like I said, this is a 25-year deal.
And then this
so-
flips if the investment goes above 7.5%.
That, in essence, has
Right,
the
the
reverse
potential to do
positive
that.
effect.
Right,
Yes.
But if we hit like 10% this year, this current year, we would be paying less than the 20%. I mean, there's a significant savings there for the city to have a 10% or more.
That would be
Return
a
on
very good
investment.
thing.
That would be a really good investment.
Wow.
7.5%.
The next page is Table 1C, and really the only thing I wanted to mention here is that the contribution, the normal cost rate or the contribution, it did go up, although it was less than 1%, And even though there was an increase in the employee contribution, the city's contribution still went up a small amount. So here again, what I want to point out is looking at trends and what's going on, and what was the case at this point in time. And I'm going to skip over several pages, and I'm going to go all the way over to page 2-2. That's Roman numeral 2-2. And in the top right, it's accounting results table 2B.
2B.
And over on the left-hand corner, it says GASB 2527 disclosures. There's two charts or tables on that page. And the top one is the schedule of employer contributions. Okay, everybody still with me?
Yep.
Okay, and here we have some history in this the chart at the top of the page. It goes back to 2006 and up through 2011. And if you go over into that third block, and at the top of the column is the annual pension cost. In 06, which you have 6 years of history here, 06 to 11, the cost was $186,242. In 2011, the annual pension cost was up to $296,174. Over those 6 years, that's a $110,000 increase, or 59%. So it jumped 59% over 6 years. And then the table right under that is the schedule of funding progress. Column 3 is the unfunded accrued actuarial liability. And, unfunded, it means it's not funded. And then column 4 is the funded ratio. And then column 6 is the unfunded accrued actuarial liability as a percentage of covered payroll. So here again, there is, some history here, and you can look at a 6-year period, what happened from 06 to 2011. And in column 1 is the actuarial value of the assets. So in 06, the actuarial value of the assets was just over $600,000. And in 2011, it was almost $2 million, $1,987,000. So the assets of the plan over that period almost tripled, So, there's been a significant amount of money going into the plan over this period. And the point there is, it's not like, the plan has been shortchanged. The city has, been putting money into it. Employees put money into it, but the money's been going in there in a significant amount and increasing. But in column 2, 06, the actuarial accrued liability matched the assets, but the actuarial accrued liability by 2011 had grown to $2,281,958. So it's actually grown faster than the assets. That is not a favorable indicator.
Right.
In column 3, the unfunded actuarial accrued liability, in 06, it was 0. There was none. And over on the next column, the funded ratio, well, it was 100%. The fund was 100% funded in 06. If you go to 11, the unfunded actuarial accrued liability went from 0 to $294,614. And if you look at the numbers on the chart in this column 3, that's the highest it's ever been. And the funding ratio dropped to 87%, which is still good, but when you're at 100, what direction are you going in? You're going from 100 down to 87.
So those trends would change because of the multiplier changing and the increase in the employee investment contribution
forward.
They will have a positive effect going forward.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
But not enough to offset that big of a loss
not
on
that
the
big.
fund.
Well, that would depend on the investment too.
Time will tell.
Time will tell.
It depends on a lot of things.
Yeah.
And then in column 5 is the covered payroll. It was only $495,000 in 06. That's gone up to $807,256 over the 6-year period to 11. So that was like, you know, it increased 1.5 times, or actually 1.6, but while that might seem like, well, that was pretty significant, that was a 1.6 increase, and the assets went up, they tripled. So in other words, this isn't just a result of the payroll growing. The payroll grew some, but the assets grew at twice the rate of the payroll. And then in the last column, 6, which is the unfunded actuarial accrued liability as a percent of covered payroll, here again in 06, there wasn't any, so it was 0. And by 11, it's at 36.5%. And there again, if you look at these numbers over the period, that's the highest on this chart, highest it's ever been, and it's been growing. It grew from 0 to 5 to 31. 2010 was a better year, dropped to 20. 2011 is back, or up to 36.5%. So there again, another indicator that is not positive.
Was the reason for 20?
Were you going to ask the reason for the 16% difference?
That's just a better investment year on 2010?
Very good year on the investment return in 10.
For 10.
Yeah, that's incredible. I mean,
Yeah,
makes a huge
because
difference.
these are all years of the recession, and all of a sudden it jumped
We're
16%.
going to actually look at investment returns over the past period in one of these other charts. Okay, just one thing I wanted to also mention on the next page. This is table 2C, and I wanted to point out that it says here, well, there's a title too, that actuarial present value of accrued benefits. But what I want to point out to you is participants currently receiving benefits, $0, because there aren't any. This plan has no retirees and no one currently receiving any benefits. So if a plan has been around longer, that's because this plan is only 16 years old. Then, of course, a big cost, our money going out every year, is to pay retirees. This plan has none. So, you know, I just wanted to point that out. I think you already knew it, but it's a piece of the puzzle or a piece of information. Okay, if you turn the page over, and this is table 3A, up at the top right it says assets, and then in the top left is the actuarial value of the assets. And really what I just wanted you to look at is that table that's in the block, and that goes back, you know, what is that, at least 10 or 11 years, or I don't know, 10 years, from 02 to 11. And you can see that the assets of the plan, of course, are increasing every year. And so here again, I just want to point out that we have a visitor out there in the lobby, but maybe he's going to come in soon. It was Senator Latvala. If you want to send somebody out there to grab him there. Or
Looks like he's going
maybe
to the
he's got to go to the restroom. Don't bother. Don't bother. You know that I have X-ray vision.
Leave the senator be.
I bet he'll find us. So there again, I'm just pointing out that, you know, the money is continuing to go into the plan each year, and the assets are increasing. Okay, turn over one page and look at table 3C. Investment return is up there, the top left. And if you look at the chart at the bottom, we have the annual investment returns going back to 01 and 02.
Jesus.
And then, you know, the plan, the assumed rate of return, I think, has probably been 7.5 since it was created, the plan was created. I didn't really go back that far, but at least since 01, 02, and up through the present time, the assumed rate of return is 7.5%. And if you just look at the market value return, we don't really have to make a lot of distinction, just focus on that. There's not going to be a whole lot of difference in looking at what's happened over this period of time of 10 years. Well, and it's been wide-ranging to say the least. 08 was the worst year ever.
For everybody.
There was a loss of nearly 13%. And here again, as you all already noticed, in 10, that was a good year. the rate of return exceeded 9%. And then in 11, it fell to 0.37. So if you, there's a couple of things, like I said, I'm giving you my opinion and things that I look for when I go through here and what I try and pick up on. So here's a couple of things that you get out of a chart like this. Out of this 10 years, the rate of return that's assumed, that 7.5%, it was exceeded only 2 of the last 5 and only 4 out of the last 10.
What's the average of the average? What's the average of the market value return? Yeah.
I don't think that's in here, and I didn't calculate it.
No,
But
just curious.
I would have to assume it's 7.5%. That's what they're gauging everything by.
Yeah.
No, I mean of the actual.
The actual. I don't think that's in here. But
It probably is pretty close, if not a little under when you look at these
I wouldn't know
numbers.
how to do it with the negatives.
Well, there's two negatives that almost cancel each
Oh,
other
yeah,
out.
you just.
And then, so.
I mean, there's some other ways to look at that. If you look at 07, which is very positive, 11.44, and then 08 was a minus 12.9. It was kind of like, well, okay, you had a terrific year in 07, and
Then you gave it
everything
all-
was
then you
wiped
gave it all
out,
back.
and then a little bit more the year after.
That's like Vegas. You win it, and then you give it back the next year.
So,
Plus some.
Yeah, plus some.
so I guess what I would look at in terms of how am I forming an opinion here? When I look at this, that rate of assumed rate of return has only been exceeded 2 out of the last 5 years and 4 out of the last 10 years, then that doesn't give me warm, fuzzy feelings.
Right.
It's kind of like this is something that needs to be monitored and paid close attention to. I guess that's kind of what I would get out of that. Okay, I'm going to keep moving, and I wouldn't ordinarily do this, but I know that Senator Latvala is very interested in firefighter pensions also. So your timing couldn't have been better, Jack. But I hope since you missed the first part of my presentation, you can catch it
On video, yeah.
either on television or online later on. And
There's a take-home version if you'd like.
the other thing that some
I'm sure
people-
he's excited about looking at your
Yeah,
first part of your presentation.
Let's see. Just one short thing I want to mention, we'll get back to the report, is that some of you already know this, but I'm one of those people that have been annoying Jack for over half his life, because that's how long we've known each other. But anyhow, we're moving on along. Let's,
Stop now, right?
yeah. I don't know. Did you
I might
want
as
to
well-
do the presentation now, or you want to keep going?
You got to be, Senator, let's do the presentation now, and then we appreciate you being here.
We need a break. This is the time to better.
I think I got this figured out. He invited me here to give me an award, so I'd be here to hear the firefighter pension.
You figured it out.
Figured out.
Good timing.
No, I thought you were going to get here at 7:07 and leave at 7:15.
Yeah, really.
I usually do, but not tonight.
Senator, come over here. First of all, again, welcome to the beautiful city of Oldsmar. No water jokes today. This is an award that the council and the city manager rotate on a monthly basis, and this was my turn to get the award. And I wanted to thank you for all of your service since 1994. Senator Latvala was in the Senate until 2002, and then he got back in the Senate again in 2010. And he has always been someone who backs Oldsmar. One thing I know about the senator is he's very good at compromise, and I think that's missing in the legislature right now. And he is a stalwart when it comes to compromise and getting things done. He also does not take to special interests. He does what the residents want to do. And in our case here in the city of Oldsmar, he's been instrumental for me, helping with the school bus issues that we had. Last year, he single-handedly continued the busing for our students. This year, we fell a little bit short, but I want to thank you for that personally, and I've done that before, but I wanted to do it in this forum. In addition to that, there was an annexation bill going through the legislature the last 2 years, and he was able to help us quell that for a little bit, and it passed this year. But Senator, when I talk about compromise, he was able to allow us to put a sunset to the bill. So Even though the bill is here now, in 10 years it will sunset away, and without senators' help, that would not be happening right now, and that bill would go forever. So I also want to thank you for that. And a little while ago, the grocers were making a presentation about people coming to the park and stuff. I want to say Senator LaValla stood in the rain the whole entire time. I almost got to recognize you, but the mic cut off just before I said your name. So I want to apologize for that, but I want to thank you for being there. And it is my privilege to give the Council Manager Award of Recognition to Senator Jack LaValla, August 2012. Senator, congratulations.
Thank you very much, Mayor. It's a privilege to serve Oldsmar again, and I've always enjoyed having Oldsmar. And you know, I've had 3 different districts for the Senate now. I had the one I had before from 94 to 2002. Then I had the one that I've had the last 2 years. And then I have the one that hopefully I'll have starting in November. But the one thing that's in common in all 3 of those districts was that Oldsmar was in it. So I guess I'm destined to be around Oldsmar, and I appreciate it. You know, I love Oldsmar, but I got to admit I was taken aback when I opened the restroom door and heard all your voices in the restroom. And as I was going in the door, I thought that was a little too much togetherness, but thank you very much.
Thank you. And then the picture.
We didn't want you to miss anything.
And don't worry, we heard you in there too.
Oh, Doug.
Thanks for coming.
Oh, I didn't. I'm sorry. I apologize.
Well, then he heard that we didn't want to bother him, or that Bruce didn't want to bother him.
Funny, I forgot about that. You can hear everything.
Oh, and then something I forgot to mention is also Senator's a printer. He owns a printing company here in Pinellas County.
Yeah.
And the last 2 years I had chaired the Printing Association of Florida, which is the, it's one of the largest manufacturing employers in the state of Florida, the printing industry. And we had a preference bill on the table for the last 2 years, and without Senator LaValla's help, that was not going to get through, and he was able to single-handedly get that into the budget and get that passed. So on behalf of the Printing Association, I also want to thank you for that. We'll get you a special award for that at another time.
I'll print it up.
Thanks, Senator.
About Senator LaValla, as long as, well, I've been here as long as he's been here almost, but every year he has come to this city council on his own and made a presentation to us. We didn't have to ask him. Thank you, sir.
And we can't say that about the House side.
No, we can't.
No.
All right, we're back to business on the firefighter pension valuation report.
I figured it out, 4.41%.
All right.
So it's underperforming pretty badly over a 10-year period.
Well, it's definitely not 7.5. Is it?
No.
No.
All right, I'm going to move on to table 3E, and we're still. The top says assets, and then the top left, it's titled Historical Trust Fund Detail. Okay, at the top half of the page is income, and here again we have history going back to 01 and 02. And a couple of things, if you can, well, let me read across and make a few comments about these columns. The first one is the employer contribution. That's, what comes out of the city treasury. The second column is the chapter contribution, and that's chapter 175 money that is collected from the taxpayers in Oldsmar on insurance premiums, goes to the state and is sent back to us with a lot of restrictions. I'm just adding that for the senator's benefit. And then the third column is the employee contributions. We've had some previous conversations anyway. So there's some early years where the city, contributed a very small amount, or even 1 year at zero. If you look at the year of 03 and 04, the employer contribution was only $21,382. The chapter contribution was $61,498. And the employee contribution that year was $3,070. What I want to point out is that the employee contribution was 14% of the employer's contribution. So I'm going to come back to that in a minute. So next, just skip down to the year 0708. The employer contribution at this point now is up to $187,000. The chapter contribution is $129,000, which is the year it peaked. That was the peak year for the chapter contribution. And the employee contribution had jumped to $9,666. And then if you look at the most recent year, 10 and 11, the employer contribution, $294,000. The chapter contribution had dropped to $109,000. And the employee contribution, $11,678. So over this whole period of time, the employer contribution is going up. The chapter contribution has dropped the last 3 years. And also employee contributions has continued to go up. But in 10 and 11, the employee contribution amounted to 4% of the employer contribution. So in 04, the employee contribution was 14% of the employer contribution. By 11, it was only 4%. The conclusion that I drew from that is that the employer contribution is growing at a much faster rate.
Yes, it's unsustainable.
Okay. Expenses, the bottom half of the chart. The first column are monthly benefit payments. And as I stated earlier, there are none because there are no retirees. The second column is contribution refunds, and that would be for employees that left before they were vested and they got their contributions refunded to them. The third column, administrative expenses. And what I wanted to point out under the administrative expenses is that the most recent year, 10 and 11, they were $27,746. That's the highest they've ever been. It's not a big number, but still, as I said early on, we're looking at trends. Mm-hmm. And actually, it's 50% higher than the previous year, when it was only $18,000.
And what do these expenses entail?
The largest expense is the pension board's attorney.
The attorney.
Yeah.
It's not me.
No.
No, the pension board has their own attorney. Okay. I'm going to skip a few pages and go over to table 4-A. The top right, it says data. There's a big circle on that page. And on the left-hand side of the page, it says summary of participant data. So if you look over on this, at the top of this page, actively employed participants. The active participants, there are 15. There are 15 employees in this plan. And back from that last page we were looking at, the contribution of the employer was $294,077. That breaks down to $19,605 per employee for the pension cost.
Say that number again?
$19,605 per employee. That was $294,000. Covers 15 firefighters. Huh? Turn over one page. This is table 4C. And at the bottom is the actual versus expected salary increases. And this is for active participants, those 15 people. And we've got history going, back to 02, but I'm going to just pull out the year 07 to look at initially. I mean, we can go back to 03, but I'm not going to talk about every column. The third column is the average salary, so I want you to look at some of those numbers. In the last column, which is the average actual salary increase. So in 07, the average salary was $40,244. In 11, 4 years later, it was $51,202. That's an increase of $10,958, or almost $11,000, or 27% in 4 years, from 07 to 11. And those are, that's from the third column. You look at the last column, the average actual salary increase, 07, it actually dropped, you'll see, 1% from the previous year. But then in 08, it went up 12%. 09, it went up 8%. 10, it went up 9%. Now, the last year dropped off significantly to 2.71. But if you look at those 3 years, which are not good years for most folks, economically speaking, it went up 12%, 8%, and 9%.
Right.
That's the average actual salary increase.
And what do you attribute that to?
I attribute that to the contract we negotiated with the union in 2007.
In 2007.
Yes. And it expired, as you know, September 30th of 2010. Okay, I'm going to jump over a few more pages, and I'm now at table 4G. And on the top left, it says projected benefit payments. And other than that little bar on the left-hand side, which it's reflecting these numbers that are listed here over the future years going out to 2021. And under that projected October 2011 to September 30, 2012, you see $2,903. That's a refund of contributions projection. And then you see the projection is there aren't any benefit payments because of the age of the participants and how long they've worked for us until you get out to the year 1920, and that $13,765
2020.
1920. They wouldn't be making this much.
I meant the year was 2019 and 2020. Yeah. That was, then you see, benefit payments are expected to start, and they would increase in the future
They have increased.
as people got old enough to retire and had worked in the plan long enough to retire. But there's still a number of years where there are no projected benefit payments. Okay, turn over one page, and the page on the left, which is table 5B, changes in actuarial methods and assumptions. And the actuary here is telling us that there were no actuarial assumptions. Our methods changed since the previous valuation. So, like I said, if you were to study these reports and go back and compare this year's to last year's, and maybe something has changed, it's not due to any changes in the actuarial assumptions. It would be attributed to something else. Now, if you turn over one more page, over the top left, it says Summary of Plan Provisions. But I'm going to skip through the rest of the report because at the end, I have a more current summary. So you can just skip through the rest of the report, although I might mention before you, at the very last page, there's this printed thing that's turned, sideways. And this is, the actuary provided this for us also. And this is the retirement plan, of course. Results based on alternative assumptions. And this is where he's looked at what if the plan assumed a different rate of return than the current 7.5%. So in that first column is the 7.5% interest. And it's, then you look down there, at the bottom, the city contribution rate, 35.04%. Okay, that's the current status. If the plan were to drop that assumed interest rate to only 7.25%, the contribution rate goes up to 38.28%. Not a whole lot of difference. If you drop it to 7% interest, the contribution rate would go up to almost 41.69%. And then if you dropped it to only 5%, your contribution rate would go up to almost 77% of payroll. And I'm not advocating anything tonight. As I said, it's, you know, an educational and information session. But another thing you could draw out of these numbers on this particular table is that even if you were to only drop this assumed interest rate or earnings rate from 7.5% to 5%, maybe that doesn't sound like a whole lot, but it's going to more than double the contribution rate
yes.
from 35 to 77%. So you can see where there's some risk here. And another thing I think I need to mention is that all the risk is borne by the Oldsmar taxpayers. 100% of the risk is on the Oldsmar taxpayers. Okay. Now at the end is a summary plan description, and it's updated for Ordinance 2012-01. And so I'm going to just run over some of the major provisions in the plan. As I said, this is more current, so I skipped over that summary in the old one.
Question. Do they, when this chart here that goes from 7.5 to 7.25 to 7 to 5, is that taking into consideration the increased value of the fund? Because when I did my calculation, there's one more factor that I didn't think about. The later years, the fund is higher, therefore the losses or the gains would be greater or less due to the amount of the fund that percentage is being calculated upon. Does that take into consideration, or is this just an example to us as to what our risk is based on just the actual interest rate changing?
Well, no, you see these other numbers have changed also. If you
So
look,
it is based on that, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I answered your question, but I'm not sure.
Yes.
A lot of this is assumption.
Well, this is a projection
is.
if this happens, this
That's
will
assuming.
happen. Yeah.
Yes,
Right.
it's assuming.
This is assumption.
Right. Thank you.
Okay, just to, in closing, kind of go over some of the major provisions of the plan. Excuse me. These are listed on the page. I'm not going to mention each one of them.
Page are we on now?
This is the retirement plan and trust, the summary plan description, updated for Ordinance 2012-01. The normal retirement date, age 55 and 10 years of service, or earlier attainment of 25 years of service. The normal retirement benefit, it was 3.25%, and that was for service prior to May 31 of this year. On June 1st, it dropped to 3.125%, or 3.125%. Now, here's a couple of examples. These are not in the summary, but using these multipliers, and let's take a person who has worked for us 10 years when this multiplier changed, which just occurred in June of this year. So they worked here 10 years, so they're going to have 10 years at the 3.25%, or 32.5%. They're going to work 25 years, that's normal retirement. So they're going to have 15 more years at 3.125%, which is 46.875. So you add the two together, and when they retire 15 years from now, their benefit would be almost 80, actually 79.375% of their average final compensation. So that's what the present provisions provide. They work 25 years, the end of which they get 80% of their average final compensation. Here's another example. And here again, they've worked here 10 years, so they get 10 years at 3.25% or 32.5%. But they're going to work 20 more years for a total of 30. So they get 20 years at 3.125%, 3.125. That's 62.5%. You add the 32.5 from their first 10 years, the 62.5 from their final 20 years, they're going to get 95% of their average final compensation after 30 years of service. And let's say they started when they were 25 years old. They worked 30 years. They retired age 55. They get 95% of their average final compensation. And if they live to be 85, they're going to collect that for 30 years. Plus, they're going to get 3% COLA every year after the first year. That's the way it works out.
All the more reason for that amendment to be.
So, I mean, everybody in the room can draw their own conclusions, but my conclusion is this is an expensive plan and it has pretty rich benefits. Any other questions?
Anybody have any questions?
Not now.
I guess,
I know we got the, go ahead.
sorry. It's not really a question. It was kind of, I guess, good and bad. I mean, it's great that we have, employees with us so long, none have retired. But I mean, I assume that once this cycle kicks in, although we're going to start paying out benefits, we're going to be bringing in people at a much reduced salary, so the average salary is going to go down and, the contribution. Does it take anything that into consideration at all that these people are going to drop off, whatever, what was it, 55,000, the average salary, and you start replacing them with, new recruits and things like that, that number is going to go, even though you're going to start paying out contributions, but the number is going to go down, that our contribution will go down because the average salary will go down. I mean, does it factor any of that in? Because it does.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We have somebody retiring.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, time will tell the answer to that question also.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. I mean, I know it's an assumption, but I just was curious because, as they start to turn over, the salaries are going to go, start to go down.
Well, again, it'll be interesting to see what happens next year with the reduction in the multiplier and the increase in the contributions. It'll be very interesting to see. And it seems to me that the key is the investments.
Yeah. What is the deal with that? You had asked that. Who controls that and what are they investing in? Obviously, nothing good.
The union, you guys want to say anything or?
Go through the whole plan. Jason Schwab, DVP, Local 2980, 1119 Illinois Avenue, Palm Harbor. Honestly, I don't know where to start with it. Like I said, I don't want to go through the whole plan.
No.
We recognize that this is an expense to the city. I think the city manager has made pretty clear that he thinks we're a financial burden to the city.
Wait, I wouldn't
put it that way.
Don't do that, Jason.
Yeah.
Please, don't do that.
I think his point is more that the path that we're on is not sustainable.
Yes.
I think would be more
Let
accurate.
me address that a little bit. I've been on the negotiation team for 3 rounds now. Every time we start with ways to increase what the city brings in from state money, and it's never visited.
Jason, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, we're not going to negotiate a contract.
I'm not looking to negotiate. What I'm saying is there's $700,000.
Let's see, but before you bring up, let's see what happens on this next negotiating round.
I agree, and that's a good point. This is an old snapshot from 2011. This year is going to look a lot better. One thing that I think was missing from this is an impact statement from the changes we did make to the plan that did decrease the city's contribution about another 5%, 4.5%, plus the extra percentage that we're putting into the plan as employees. Mm-hmm. So there is a decrease. We are looking to work with the city to decrease your contribution. We gave multiple, not to go back to that, but just to show that we have tried to work with the city, we've given multiple proposals to access money that's sitting to the side. there's $700,000 in excess money that's just sitting there not being used.
Please don't bring that up tonight. I mean, this is a matter of what.
Yeah, we're just focusing on the report itself. So just keep your comments.
Well, actually, that's a good point that Senator Latvala could help us
It is a
with.
good point. And I want to say,
This award's backfiring on you.
I'm glad you're here. We appreciate the work that you do in Tallahassee. I did want to kind of open with that. Senator Latvala does pay close attention to, firefighter pensions that I think a lot of them up there do not, especially on the municipality level. Because I think, the state has their own FRS system that affects the state budget more than the local plans. And I think, sometimes it gets lost because it doesn't affect the state, and I do appreciate your attention to our local plans. So
I guess did you bring it up, Dan? Because the question was, I guess, the investments and
right
and
I believe the investments are done through the League of Cities. The League of Cities handle the investments. They decide where to invest the money. The plan is basically run by the League of Cities. There's a pension board that drives actuary studies. They do that kind of thing. But as far as the investments go, that's handled by the League of Cities.
So everybody's sustaining the same losses in every city?
We've had a rough, I would say, past 5 years. Things are turning around. I believe things are leveling off. This past year already, we're looking at about 10% gain for this year. And I think this is an old valuation. I know it's the current one we have now. I would have liked to have seen the new one be presented over this. I think it would have given a much better actual snapshot of the plan.
And that's 10% on a much larger amount of money too, because money keeps going.
Right now, the earnings, it goes on a fiscal year, so it will be decided September 30th, and right now they're at about $330,000. So we've got another 6 weeks, to add to that. Or
the pension board will ask for another one of these, and
they have. I mean, and then we'll get it. That is coming.
Yeah.
I have a real quick question about that. Are they actual earnings, or are they if you sold the stock at that time, that is your earning? Because it's like you could look at your portfolio and
I would think they're actual
earnings.
It depends on if there's dividends paid out. Depends on what they're invested in.
The market valuation is what they are worth on that date.
On that date, right. So, okay, that's what I thought.
But the city's contribution is affected by what that number is.
Sure.
So, you see a 10% gain, that is going to affect the way the city's contribution rises and falls.
And I guess, the concern is the city's component of the A, B, and C. The city's component really is the one that has the biggest fluctuation, and the biggest risk for the taxpayers. And from our perspective, if the fluctuation was on, the firefighter side, you would have the same thing. Holy cow, we got to put more money. I mean, it's a huge concern when you look at the numbers to see, how it's increasing. And
we recognize that. And like I said, we're willing to work with accessing more. I think a big flaw in these plans is the fact that we bring in, by the way, this year we're going to bring in $150,000. Only $33,000 of that is applied to the plan. There's a lot of money that's extra that we need to be able to access.
We will work on that.
I understand, and I hope that is the case. I really do.
We will work on that. Yes.
This is, I will say, this is the biggest benefit to the employees for the job that they do.
Well, one thing, and I don't think the city manager feels this way either way, because you people are not a burden on the city. You're not a burden on the city, and you know that.
Okay, that comment comes from, it may be a little aggressive, but I just sat through a budget meeting where I heard, about how expensive we are, and now I'm hearing it again.
But this is not the agenda to talk about that.
And I would agree. I mean, I don't think it was intended to say that it was a burden. It's definitely a financial concern, but to say that any particular department is a burden, I would not agree with that statement at all. I mean, I don't. You guys
I will say that is the perception that the firefighters are having right now, and I apologize if that's out of line, but it's the growing perception that is becoming of the 20 firefighters that you have working for you.
Okay, but this is not the forum for this. We just got a report.
But that's, yeah, I mean, that's not, I don't think that's the council's
This is
feeling.
informational only, so I just wanted you to, rebut whatever you wanted to, and obviously there's a new valuation.
It is a very long plan, and I could probably keep you here another 2 hours going through it. I don't think, again, I think this is a little early looking at this because negotiations aren't going to start again until probably May. I think we will have a new plan at that time that will have different numbers that we can get a fresh perspective on the plan.
It will have different numbers, and a lot of the assumptions will go away because we'll have the actualities.
Yeah.
So.
And I will say that there's going to assumptions. The assumed salary that a lot of this is predicated off of is just that. It is an assumption as well. So in here they do a lot of numbers off of $800,000 salary. That's not the case of where we're at now.
We got our report tonight. We'll go forward, and then we'll see where we end up. Okay.
I mean, but you can see, I mean, you guys were looking at the report, you can see that based on this snapshot, the next one might be different. You can see the concern. I mean, we're responsible for the entire city, and which you guys are a big part of, and all the other departments. But when you look at these, it's like, I mean, it would be no different than your home budget. If all of a sudden, you start looking at your groceries and they're $100, then next month they're $400, then next month they're $1,200. Either we got to quit eating so much, or something. But
well, I think I would talk to the family about how much you're eating. That's all we're asking for is talk to us a little bit about how to fix the problem.
Right. But and that's what I think, and I had a conversation with you and with Bruce of it. I mean, I think communication is key to making this a much better deal next time, I think.
When does the new valuation come out?
It won't be ordered till
September?
It gets to October, so that we'll look at the whole year.
How long does it take them to do the valuation?
Usually it's a busy time for actuaries, so a few months.
But it is the pension board that does this.
So by the first of the year?
The pension board orders it. They did discuss it yesterday at the meeting. As soon as they get the letter requesting, they're required by law to do one every 2 years.
2 years, but we're doing it every year.
Right.
Our pension board has decided to do it every year just because of the way things have been going.
Well, once it comes out, let's just readdress it. Let's look at it then and see where we're at. Hopefully, there is significant improvement, and hopefully the investments are where you say, because I think everybody will get more comfortable, once we see that. But, when you do look in the 5%, if it's only making 5% and we're 75% of your pay, we've got to put into that. That's not realistic. I mean, that's why the investment's got to go. The other thing is we're going to be at the Florida League of Cities in, Thursday?
Yeah.
So maybe we can find somebody that we can talk to educate us more on how they're making these investments or who's making these investments. And
one thing too is we were in negotiations at that time, but the pension board attorney did offer to hold a workshop for the council to educate you a little bit more about the plan and where it came from and how it works. I think that would be a good idea before the next.
Let's do that when the next valuation comes out and just look at it that way. All right, that sounds good.
Why is he so expensive if that you said that the thing shot up 50% in 1 year? Was there a reason for that, or?
I believe the fee is, I don't know where it's at in here, but it's calculated off a percentage of the plan.
Oh, so that's why it jumped up 50%?
I think it's like 4.5% is his fee.
So
I really don't think we should be talking about.
But we need to take our money and invest in him because he's getting pretty good.
Ourselves better and look at it closely on the next one where it'll be fairer for you guys and a more, a better snapshot of where we're actually at. All righty?
Appreciate it.
All right, thank you. All right, we're done with the presentation of the firefighters' pension valuation, yes, or you got more to say?
Well, I did want to mention that Renee Neiman is the chair of the pension board, and I don't want to put her on the spot about it. Thought if she wanted the opportunity to speak to the council, that maybe you would want
Absolutely.
to hear from her as
Renee,
well. I mean, I don't know she does or not. She may not want to, but she chairs the pension board, so I didn't want to just let that go by.
I don't mean to come from Renee, but can I just ask one more question?
Yeah.
City Manager kind of skipped over it, but I was wondering about the, it's a question I had before, but the advanced employer contributions. It's on table 3F.
Yep.
That,
3F.
is it up to the city to apply that, or is that a pension board decision, or?
No, I think actually it was applied during this current fiscal year since last October. What page was it on?
Table 3F.
Page 3-6.
3-6.
That $89,000?
Yes.
I think we applied it.
You did apply it this
Since
year.
October 1st. It was sometime probably like December, January timeframe. So
Okay.
that has been
That's
applied to the plan now.
Okay.
All right, thanks. Hi, Renee.
Renee Neiman. I don't know if you want my home address or work for the station here at 225 Pine Ave North. I've been on the chair with Dave Young for 10 years or so now. A lot of the financial things we do come from the League of Cities. We take their advice since we are not, financial advisors ourselves. So we have a contract with them. They do a 60-40 mix. And again, I don't have all the
Are they more on the conservative side with the 60, or?
Yeah.
I assume so.
Yeah. And, we just got a quarterly report. We can, send that out to you. I know Bruce has one, and the
I'd like to
city
see
has
that.
one.
Yeah, I would be
You guys
curious to see that. I mean, that's,
Okay.
that's pretty bad.
And it breaks everything down into what they're investing, and like I said, we go up on their recommendations.
Can you get that to us before we leave? We leave at 5:30 Thursday morning.
Yeah, you can just pick us up and take us
That
to
would
the
be good
airport
if we
or
have it.
something.
We're going to be at the league meeting, so. Yeah. Oh, you already have one? All right, excellent.
Oh, it's there?
And she can make copies for us. And
Well, this is
excellent.
yeah, these are the plan account statements monthly.
Al's got it.
The quarterly.
Al has it.
Okay.
Okay.
57 pages.
Oh, wow.
That's okay. Need to email.
But, I mimic Jason's sentiment that a lot of these numbers are old. It comes out October 1/11, but it's based on the year before.
Right.
So I think coming out with these next numbers, I think they're going to make we're hoping to make a lot of difference. But we are up this year quite a bit. It's been a relatively good investment year so far.
I got a question, and maybe Jason answered this, but I mean, this pension obviously is, for you guys and all that, but Florida League of Cities manages the entire state of Florida's pension, and is it all 60-40? Yours it's all in the same thing, or do they do different things for this pension board as they do for one in,
Well, all the 175 plans are together in one fund.
Wow, that's a
Some
ton
of
of
the
money.
plans, some of the plans have different mixtures and they have different agreements. I think that says in that report, all the ones that are available.
Okay.
And then the quarterly report shows just our portion.
And how often do they visit this to, with my 401k and, in my investments, I watch it pretty regularly, and if something's starting to tank, I'm just curious how often they monitor it, or what their change process is, or,
Do it every day?
I don't know if they change
not every day, but when this thing starts to trend, is anybody there to pull the nose up on this thing, if that's their task and their job.
Yeah, that's their job.
That's just kind of concerning.
Like the one year where it lost 12%, they could have just went 100% conservative and just put it in bonds, not done anything, and not lost that 12%. So
Right.
it would be interesting for us to educate ourselves when we get to the league and see what they are doing.
I have enough copies here for a year to date. If you guys would like me to just hand them out to you, I could do that.
Sure.
Yeah. It's not an official copy because the year is
Right.
not over yet.
And it's not
Thank you.
57 pages, which is even better.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's even better.
It just shows all the employer
Thank you.
contributions, employee contributions, the premium tax monies.
Sure, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
But yeah, that first section, contribution, like I said, gives you employer, employee, excise tax. Second section is all the fees. We do pay a number of fees to the League of Cities as well, quarterly, annually. The attorney is a retainer every month. And that up until we hire the attorney, we had the city attorney as our attorney. A lot of members, a lot of support that we get had concerns. Yes, it was a very good cost saving, but that there was the city attorney acting for the city as well as the board. Our job as board members is just to make sure that the fund is being handled appropriately.
Yeah. It's a five-person board, right? There's 3 residents, 2 firefighters?
Correct.
Right.
We don't have any say on any of the benefits. We're only there to make sure the fund is being handled properly.
Well, I think the board should have their own attorney. I've always thought that.
Yeah.
And it was a big increase in expense, and we tried to make sure that was a justifiable expense because it is, coming out of the fund.
I don't think anybody has a problem with that kind of, I don't have a problem with that kind of expense.
No, but does the attorney get 4% on a quarterly basis based on the ending balance?
No, he's a set fee.
It's a set fee,
It is
okay.
a set fee. Yeah,
Okay.
$4.50 a month.
Okay.
And that includes, because they are out of the area, there's only a few attorneys in the state that really handle this.
Gotcha.
So that includes him coming to every meeting. They do quite a bit of support for us, anytime we call and ask. So that's all included in that fee.
Okay.
This is year to date.
This is year to date, yeah, it's the end of, I think, July. And then it's on page 2 that shows you our earnings and losses there. And to this point this year, we're up $340,000, although we did have a bad year in May, or a bad month.
Yeah. Good, so it's tracking about 10%. Yeah, that's awesome.
Any other questions?
Keep on keeping on.
No, I don't think so. I think we're
Thank you
good.
for this, yeah.
Thank you, Renee. Thank you, Jason. Thank you, Robbie. All right, we're gonna move on. We're done with the firefighters' pension valuation report.
I just would like to thank Bruce for telling us a whole lot of nothing better than the guy last year did.
Right.
I thought maybe we'd alternate and have him come
No,
back.
yours was much clearer.
Yeah.
He finished and I didn't even know exactly what he said. But.
Anything else?
That's it.
All right, thank you very much. City Clerk.
Yes. Item number 15, adopt the 2022 strategic vision statement. As you recall, the current statement expires 2012, and so we met on June 8th, and as the City Council and City staff met as groups and came up with several statements, which we then came back as department heads and City staff. We discussed it during a couple meetings, and now we're presenting to you a synthesis of that statement, which is partnering with families, businesses, and visitors to make Oldsmar a creative, vibrant, and thriving community. So we're asking for you to consider and adopt that strategic vision statement.
You didn't like the one that Marie, myself, and Lynn came up with? You will wish you grew up here? No.
Note that on the city map that was just produced at the very bottom,
Did
it
you?
says you'll
Nice.
wish you grew up here.
All right. I like it.
I like
No
it.
problem with it.
Yeah, I like it.
I think you guys did a good job.
I thought, again, that probably a very productive workshop that we had. And this was an interesting thing.
Yeah,
And,
it was fun.
it speaks of what we all thought of. That's what I think is neat about it.
It was a good exercise.
Yep.
I think you did a really good job. Everybody on staff did a great job. And
Now, what do we do
I'm
with
all
this?
for it.
What do we do with this?
We're going to put it on the wall.
Put it,
Okay.
right?
We'll put it on the website.
Do we have
It's our vision.
Yeah, we got to prove it.
Is there a motion needed for this?
Yeah, I need a motion to approve it.
I'll move.
Okay, I second.
We both moved, first and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. What happened?
I mean, I just dropped the thing.
No.
It just kind of startled me.
Comments by council members? We'll start with the person dropping things.
Well, I intend to run for reelection for seat 2.
Very good.
And
Very nice.
that's really all I have to say. I'm right.
Wish you the best with that.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you for
I
your
like
comments.
this job.
Okay. Councilman Morris.
First of all, I would like to apologize to Tony and Craig because I was unable to make the ceremony. I would have stood there in the rain. I probably would have had an umbrella, though. I was out of town, but my thoughts and prayers were with you, and I spoke with Bruce, and he told me all about it, as many details as he could tell me. So I just want you to know that my thoughts and prayers were with you. I get one vacation a year, so I was away. And I guess if we're doing that, I'm going to run for my seat too. So as long as everybody out there knows that qualifying begins in October and you've got till November, if anybody else wants to run, it's a democracy. And I don't really have anything.
All right.
That's it. That's all I got.
Councilmember Beavis.
Thank you, Mayor. I have just a quick question, and maybe Rick can answer this. I was looking through the report, the statistics, and do we have any idea of the burglaries are the ones that are up pretty significantly? Do we have any idea what it was? Was it a group of people or pretty large increase from June to July from 4 to 13 burglaries?
I mean, somebody at 4:30 in the morning off a short drive this morning.
Oh, did they?
Does it say that they were residential or vehicles?
It does have a breakdown. It says the burglaries: 2 commercial, 1 highway, 8 residential, and 2 structure. So
okay, well,
the 8 resident. I just was curious if it's a
just burglaries in general are up. It's just the economy.
Sign of the
I mean,
times.
especially when it comes to metals. Sure. That's probably the commercial ones. If anybody can get any type of copper, especially the plumbing places and air conditioning places.
Sure.
So we had a couple of those, and then we had quite a few incidences with the catalytic converters, and that wasn't just us. That's everybody that just comes and they cut the catalytic converters off of high-profile vehicles.
Is that classified as a residential burglary?
That would be either it would fall under a commercial or vehicle commercial, one of the two. The residential burglars. Was
it a concentrated area or something? Or I mean, I don't know anything in my neighborhood, but
usually it is. Usually it's one area or the other.
Okay, I'm just curious.
I can't remember the residential burglaries off the top of my head.
Right here on this little map.
Yeah, it shows them. Yeah, just a huge increase. It really stood out when I was reviewing the numbers. So, okay.
In many of those cases too, the owners of the homes know who did it. So, you know, it's not an isolated, it is an isolated case on a lot of those residential burglaries, but we're not the only city, so.
Well, our numbers are normally so good, that increase just.
Especially when it comes to commercial burglaries, we have a lot more businesses than most of the other cities.
Sure.
So we're gonna get picked on a little bit, and we're also closer to Hillsborough County, so a lot of our burglars will come from Hillsborough County. We had a lot of copper thefts at Progress Energy this past year with the copper going out there and just either the gate being unlocked or the gate was cut, the locks out there on the corner of Racetrack and Forest Lakes.
Yeah.
Make entry in there, and they were pulling up a lot of the copper wire out there. So,
you know what else there is?
The guy that smashed the window and went into the Metro SPS, the Metro store.
I'm not sure if they closed that burglary out or not.
Or girls.
I don't recall if they closed that one out or not. So,
family disputes go up too because because of money.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just curious. Yeah, no, that helped. Thanks. The only other thing I have is I sat today and counted all of my business cards that I have, and I only have enough to last me till March 19th. And rather than order them for seat 3, I thought hopefully I get to order them for mayor. So I'm going to throw my hat in and run for mayor because I need business cards and,
Oh, yeah, that's the reason.
I counted. I'm going to be out March 19th, and if pre-order, might as well change them, right? So I will be running for mayor, and it's a great honor. I think that we have a great council, and we've made some great progress over the past years, and I'd like to continue with the job that Mayor Roniker's done and those prior to him. So,
And for anybody watching, I'm not allowed to run again, so he's not running
and
against
you've been
me
a great mayor.
yeah.
So I'll be retiring at the end of March.
Yep.
On March 19th.
19th.
Yes.
You can have all my old business cards if you want.
That's fine. I think I got my own. I can get plenty.
I know. You know a printer?
Yeah, I just have to know
printer?
it. Right. Senator Vella.
Yeah, that's right.
Does all my cards.
You might want to explain so other people know that there's going to be an additional seat up.
Well, I turned in my letter to Ann, and I had to do it prior to October something, and which then, so my seat 3 can then go on the ballot. So seat 3 will be open. So basically everybody but the
Jerry.
older than dirt guy down there.
Now, your seat would be a 2-year.
Right, a 2-year, the remainder of my term, correct.
Oh, the remainder of yours will be a 2-year,
Yeah,
right?
right.
Okay.
Everybody else's will be 3.
Well, 3.
Correct, yeah, right.
Okay. And Jerry's the only one that doesn't have to do anything.
I'm not running,
We're stuck with you for 2 more years regardless, huh?
like it or not.
Yep, that's it, thank you.
Good luck. Vice Mayor.
I'm not running, so it doesn't matter. Anyway, I before I get into, I want to thank both Tony and Craig. But like I told you, no matter what happened that day, it was a good day. It was a good day.
That's true.
I echo that. It was a beautiful service.
It was a good day.
Question.
And
Too bad I didn't read.
we love y'all for it. Can we pass an ordinance now? And keeping signs out of this city before an election, maybe 5 weeks before or 6 weeks before, and not a sign out there for a year? Can we do that?
For a year?
No, we haven't done that.
Ann probably has.
Oh, the pictures.
Sorry?
Can we do that?
Do what?
We need to discuss the sign ordinance for election signs and not have them put
I don't
up
think
there
you can. It's
in
not legal, is it?
January for the next November.
We do have election sign
Well, why don't we enforce it?
What is it? Do you know?
Yeah, what is it?
How many weeks before?
I don't
Thank
know
you.
off the top of my head, to tell you the truth.
I'm putting mine out tomorrow. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, but anyway, I do have a, last week, I think it was last Monday, Channel 9, the sports part of it. Channel 9, I think it's the sports part, I think it's Channel 47 or whatever. Anyway, their sports part of it. The fishing show that's on at 6 o'clock in the evenings, they were going to do a series of, six series of cities around the bay, the history and fishing. Well, he came to Oldsmar, and last Monday we had our 3rd filming. And I think he's going to have to do 7 or 8 series now because Oldsmar has become the focus point of the series.
Oh, how cool.
The last series he done, he won a state award. Now, I didn't know they were having this. This series, he's going for the, what did I say it was? The Florida Emmys?
That's what.
The Florida Emmys. And he thinks that we're going to win. And Oldsmar is going to be the featured of this whole series. I mean, it was incredible. We did the 3rd filming last Monday, got the old Oldsmobile, the 1901, went over Cypress Forest Park. There's a road back there that we paved, and we did it back there for 5 hours. He's coming into the city of Oldsmar with the fishing pole, and we're picking him up. And it's going to be incredible. And we saw a moccasin about that big. But anyway, when the series is going to be shown, I want to bring him to the city of Oldsmar here to the council, and he's going to give us maybe a film of it and make the presentation here that it's going to come up. And then everybody in the city will know those 6 nights that it's going to come up, and Oldsmar is going to be the feature thing of the whole thing.
So when he was standing with those poles and you were going to pick him up, were you whistling the Andy Griffith theme?
Well, he didn't know Oldsmar had this history that we have.
A lot of people don't.
And I have some other things that he's going to use in his, the one he's going to do in Tampa. And also, I showed the mayor. I showed the mayor this tonight. Calm down. I will. Okay. It's been a night. Before the Skyway Bridge was constructed, when they were in there, just the idea part of it, I have their idea part of it. 1951.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
And this is what their idea was. And I was told tonight that actually, the actual bridge actually was built over here and not here, but that's the actual plans for the Skyway Bridge in 1951.
Wow.
Anyway, I wanted to show you all tonight, and I'm going to take it down and give it to the Historical Society so they can hang it up. If anybody wants to look at it, there it is.
Under my chair.
Under my chair, by my feet.
But we have the only one. And how in the world they gave that up, I don't know.
And why is this thing still here?
You have to ask Cam. Anyway, that's it, and thank you for who you are.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that picture as well, on behalf of the Historical Society. I promised Kathy I would do this. We have an Oldsmar resident by the name of Lindsay Norton. She's 16 years old, and she is on America's Got Talent, and she will be on tonight.
Hopefully
at 8 o'clock.
Oh.
No, it's from 8 to 10. It's on NBC, and vote for Lindsay. Let's see somebody from Oldsmar win that thing.
So
She's
we
in
can
a.
call, right?
I don't know the show, but she's on one of 12 wild card acts bought back for a chance to.
America's Got Talent.
Yeah,
America's Got Talent.
It's with Howard Stern and yeah.
I've just never seen it.
I think you can vote all week. Am I
Vote
right?
10 times, I think, something like that. What is
From
it,
every
Kathy?
apparatus.
From every apparatus, right.
Sometimes, but there is a time.
Yeah, okay. It's a couple of days, though, I know, isn't it?
You might get
I don't think you have to do it tonight. And we'll vote for her whether
So if you
she's
can
good or
vote, please vote for
bad.
her. To the grocers again, thank you for all you guys do. I mean, it was a wonderful event, and don't be heartbroken that it rained. It's not a big deal. It was wonderful. And the nice thing was there were still hundreds of people that stayed the whole entire time. And I thought that was just awesome.
Yes.
So again, just thank you guys so much for what you do. To our firefighters, the city supports you 150%. There's no question about it in my mind. I know you might have some heartburn right now, but hopefully time will pass and we'll show you that we're supportive of you guys. And, we'll leave that as enough said right now. School is back in. I'd ask everybody to please drive safely. I want to thank everybody that participated yesterday and today in making sure those kids cross that road safely. Little disappointed in DOT for waiting until the last couple of days to do everything. And then find out that they couldn't finish it because they're not allowed to close a state road a month before the RNC, which I don't think is excusable from our standpoint.
God, that what happened to do with the kids' safety?
Yep,
That's ridiculous.
I think we need to send a letter to District 7 Secretary Skelton and let him know our unhappiness, and I'll be happy to sign that if that's okay with the council.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's ridiculous.
I think they had plenty of notice, and to wait until the last basically 3 days before they started doing anything.
I've been doing this for 25 years, and I haven't been a fan of DOT for 25 years.
I know.
Right.
They are horrible.
Then, not last week, I think it was the week before, we had our budget session. I thought that went excellent. I thought it was a great budget. I think you did a great job, Bruce. I want to thank all the staff and the department heads for putting that budget together because it doesn't, it gives everybody a raise in the city. It doesn't cut any services, and it continues to be positive for the city. So I want to thank everybody that participated in that. If I can ask Lisa Ray to come up for a minute and just give us an update on the water plant, because I know we're going on a tour on Tuesday, but we're getting very close to going online with the water plant, right?
Lisa Ray, Director of Public Works. Yeah, you're right. We are actually orifice testing now, which is we're pumping water out of the wells. They have special discs installed inside of the membrane pressure tubes to allow them to put water through the system without risking any of the membranes. The membranes are very expensive. So we do a lot of preliminary testing with just these plates inside. We're testing all of the controls. And today they finished one of the skids completely, so tomorrow they'll be starting the next skid. And they make sure all the alarms work properly, the pumps are working correctly. We also had FDP out today, and they did an inspection of the plant, which is something that they have to complete before they'll allow us to actually produce water and distribute it to the system. We went through the process with them and gave them a tour, went out to the well sites, and went through the draft packet of what we're going to be submitting to them to actually clear the plant. So yeah, we're getting really close, and it's getting very exciting.
What's the chance of getting a swig of it on Tuesday? Not good.
Oh, no,
Because I was going to volunteer the vice mayor to taste it first.
We're not there yet. We have to have, before we can allow anybody to drink it, DEP has to clear the plant completely, and we're still in the process of getting that done, and that's a big step, but it's coming.
So in your crystal ball, when are we totally live?
Oh, I don't want to commit because you never know what hiccups might come up.
What's an approximate?
Mayor, it'll be before you leave.
Oh, I hope so.
I'll guarantee that. It's definitely before you leave. I'd say in the next 3 to 4 weeks.
Oh,
so we're pretty close,
exciting.
yeah.
Do we get to flip a switch or push a button or anything while we're there Tuesday?
And
no, I don't want
to.
You're not,
have to watch
you're
me.
not pushing any
One for the
buttons.
mayor to do.
It's
I'll be like,
You can look and you can ask questions. And okay. We'll show you the screens. Maybe we'll let you touch some things.
yeah.
a chair.
Like the door.
I already talked to a resident out of getting a Brita thing. I said, you won't need it.
Yeah.
We're going to be on our own water.
And what was the, I was telling somebody, what's the implementate 25, 50, 75, 100? Is that what it is? Over at what period of time?
Oh, you mean the percentages
mixture,
that
yeah.
we're going to be blending the water? Because they shortened the chlorine burn this year, I don't know if you guys knew that or not. They did that because of the RNC. They were concerned that that change in taste and odor, people might be concerned. So they've shortened it. So we're going to be going probably directly into a 50% blend and then a 75% blend and 100% our water.
For what period of time?
It's, well, the 4 weeks is all we have for the chlorine burn. Usually it's 5 to 6 weeks long. So we usually have more time to space it out.
Oh, I see.
So we're going to, we have to compress our timetable.
So very exciting times here in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah,
Wow.
it's very exciting. And we've hired all of our staff. We had 3 new operators start on Monday.
Excellent.
So they're getting a lot of exposure now, helping with all of the startup and a lot of the testing, learning a lot about troubleshooting the RO process. It's a great learning opportunity for them, plus getting to know the city. So if you know Gerald Hopper, he was the one that usually is out doing compliance and flushing. And you'll see him with some of the new operators. They're going out with him, learning the city as well, and helping with all of that.
Excellent. Nice job.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
And
very
where all the lift
exciting.
stations are.
Getting close. Right, getting close. Thank you, Lisa. And then I guess we're gonna stay in casual wear at least until the end of September.
Oh, nice.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, you're welcome. It's just way too hot to be in a suit right now. So usually we do it customarily, when school goes back in, but since it's still 98 degrees humidity outside, we'll stay in casual wear at least until the end of September, and we'll look at it again then. With that, that's all I've got. I need a motion for the tentative agenda.
So moved.
Second, got a motion second. All in favor?
Yes.
Aye, opposed, motion carries 5-0.
Over.